Hey guys, it is Windy here and welcome to a brand new video, and today's video is a Patreon suggested video, so thank you very much for your suggestion. However, before we properly get into the meat of this video, I want to hit 10k by the end of the year. Don't think I've mentioned it. So if you want to help me out, if you enjoy the content, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and I'd love you forever. But let's talk about some of the best intros for a companion in my opinion. And as always, there's that caveat there. This is pure and simply my opinion. These ones that I'm going to talk about today, they are my personal favorites, or some of the ones that I think is just the best. If you happen to disagree, cool. Let me know what your opinion is in the comments. Now, this is in like no particular order. This isn't like my top 5 or whatever, but there is 5, as I've got a list right there and there's 5 names on it. So pick a random one out. Romana, the second version. Now I think the reason why I like this one is it's probably the highlight of Destiny of the Daleks, because let's be honest, that is a pretty drab story. Although I weirdly liked it a lot as a kid, which is annoying because, you know, like when you really love something as a kid and then you come back to it years later as an adult and you think, wow, that's shit, what did I ever see in this thing? And then it kind of taints it forever, so I don't even get enjoyment out of it now, apart from this scene. Now the thing is, in terms of canon and lore, I hate this scene and it makes no sense. I do think it was explained away in like a short story somewhere that it wasn't actually Romana and it was this other alien, or I don't know. Either way, in terms of Time Lord lore, this doesn't work. But in terms of like a fun introduction to a companion, yeah, absolutely does. For those of you who aren't aware, the way that we are introduced to the second incarnation of Romana is because she goes through a load of different bodies before deciding on Princess Astra, also played by Lalla Ward in the previous story, because she felt like a new face, something like that. But it's a really humorous scene. It is very much late Graham Williams era Doctor Who style humour. Sometimes it works, other times it doesn't. This is one of the occasions where I genuinely think it does work, purely for the Doctor's reaction when you see all these different types of women walk through. Like, some are aliens, some are really tall, some are really short. It's just quite amusing. And obviously she comes in the Doctor's outfit and he says, why are you wearing such ridiculous clothes? It's just a humorous moment, and it was a nice way and a different way to handle regeneration. Okay, so consulting my list again, I'm gonna go with Joe Grant, of course, because who doesn't love Joe? Everybody loves Joe. If you don't actually, let me know why. I'd be curious to hear that. I just assume that people universally love Joe Grant and also Katie Manning in real life as well. So her introduction into Doctor Who, again, I think it's brilliant. What I love about this scene in Terror of the Autons in particular is the contrast you as the audience and also the Doctor feels. He's just gone from having Liz Shaw, who maybe not quite on a par, but sort of understood him intellectually, and he got her the same way, and they could challenge each other, and it was a really interesting dynamic, and you could tell that the Doctor really loved that. Enter Joe. Thing is with Joe, straight away you can just tell this isn't Liz Shaw. This is not some scientist who is going to challenge the Doctor on an intellectual level. This woman is actually a bit ditzy and a bit clumsy, and it's just when, you know, her heart is clearly in the right place, but like she's knocking things over, setting stuff on fire, getting things wrong. And naturally, if you're in the Doctor's position, you'd be like, oh my god, why are you here? Where's Liz? Can I have Liz back? Later on, this of course would develop into one of the best Doctor companion pairings in my opinion again, but this intro is just everything you need to know about Joe, and I love that it is that contrast to Liz, which is just really funny to me. It's actually quite a sweet scene from Joel's perspective as well, I think. Let's go to the new series. I've only got one new series companion on here, and that's Rose. Now the thing is with Rose, I think the reason why is possibly because this was my first companion, and in series 1 Rose is great. Series 2, that's a video in itself. But with this introduction, it feels very different for what Doctor Who usually tends to do, where you are following the companion. We don't really see that all that much. However, possibly the next 2, that could be the thing. That's probably why they're on this video. Either way, it just feels different compared to other companion introductions. It's almost like this is the Doctor, oh, he's meeting someone new, whereas now it's like this is someone who lives a normal everyday to-day life, works in a shop, goes to bed, eats chips, all this sort of stuff, and then suddenly they're thrusted into this totally weird, unique world where there's mannequins coming to life and murdering people. What the fuck is going on here then? And I think as a character piece, it's not necessarily the first few scenes with Rose and the Doctor, it's more the first story that you really get a sense of Rose being thrown into this world and how she reacts to it, how she responds to it, and it's very grounded, relatable, and down to earth. Probably grounded and down to earth. Shouldn't have said it at the same time, because they're more or less the same thing. It's this thesaurus-like level of words that come out of my mouth that you watch me for, innit? Like, it's not all this basic shit. Where was I? Rose, yes. Rose, it's very good. It's very good. The others, so far, it's more just like their first scene, whereas with Rose, it is more the first episode, because I really like the more realistic approach towards it. Or relatable. I'm sure I've already said that before. I think I did. Again, thesaurus, here we go. I think she was also the perfect way to introduce Doctor Who to the modern day. I think she's very much a product of her time, and I know for myself, speaking as someone who as a kid watched this, I did feel like I knew people like Rose in my life at that time, and I could gravitate towards her, whereas with obviously like some of the others, they're very much products of their time and it's handled very differently anyway. But with this, I don't get it. I think as introductions go, I think she probably is the best of the modern era. Not that there haven't been some good ones, because there absolutely have, but I think this just stands above the rest because quite possibly it was my first one. So I'm going to go for one that people might not have expected me to say, and that's Grace. Now, whether or not Grace is a full-time companion or not, you can debate that, because, I mean, well, it never really went to a series, and she does technically leave at the end of the TV movie anyway. But I think as people go introduced to the Doctor and the Doctor's world, I actually really like this, and I think it's one of the stronger aspects of the TV movie. See, the thing is, most people, when they are introduced to the Doctor, it will be like they're rescued by him, or they are somehow involved in a whole world of alien stuff, or is this invasion thing coming, or, you know, something like that, and they don't really have a choice. Whereas with Grace, she meets the Doctor because she's doing her job and she's operating on him and she kills him, which I've got to say, as introductions go to a companion, or as into people, murdering them, well, no, not really murdering them, but not doing your job properly. But then again, he is an alien, so I'll let you off, Grace. But that's not exactly the first impression that most people want to give. I mean, I could be wrong, I don't know. If you're a surgeon and you know, you want to meet someone like as a first Tinder date or something, and you bring them to the operating theatre, let me know. But as far as I'm concerned, that's not really standard practice. But it's not just that either. It's the fact that you have that scene, which is actually a bit too real for Doctor Who. I think I might have mentioned that in my TV movie video. But it's the fact that after that, because the Doctor is so confused after his regeneration because of the anaesthetic in the surgery, he only really recognises Grace. So he keeps following her. And her reaction and the dynamic that they build from that is actually really interesting. And again, for me, one of the stronger aspects of the TV movie. I think Paul McGann and Daphne Ashbrook do have some pretty good chemistry. Some of the stuff with her, particularly when the Doctor starts to slowly remember stuff and you see Grace slowly warm to him sort of around the same time, whereas the more confused the Doctor is, the more she's just like, can you please just fuck off? Whereas when he's like, oh, I'm actually the Doctor now, she's like, ah, well, you're actually all right, so I won't call the police. I really like that. And like I said, I mean, the TV movie, I will defend, but I don't love, but I also kind of do. It's like a guilty pleasure type thing. But yeah, this is one of the more enjoyable aspects of that film. And then last, but by no means least, and this would probably be, in my opinion, the best character introduction, and that is Susan. I couldn't not say Susan, because the first episode ever of Doctor Who, Unearthly Child Part 1, is quite possibly one of the best episodes, like individual episodes, that we've ever had. As introductions go, that was perfect, and I love the mystery that you get. You're following Susan, this girl in school who seems to be not only a bit odd, but knows things that realistically she shouldn't. She's a bit too smart. It's not like she's a really clever kid. It's like, you're a bit impossibly smart. And because she doesn't seem to have too many friends or have too many relationships, and she seems quite closed off and doesn't really mention anything about family or anything like that, obviously they start to get a bit suspicious, and that's where the whole adventure begins in the first place. I think the whole mystery around Susan and what's her deal is such a strong part of the first episode. And the fact that, I mean, I said this in another video, the fact that the teachers would even be asked to go and check her out and see if she's alright or if she's a bit weird, I mean, that baffles me. That's a bigger mystery in itself. given the experience that I've had with teachers. Not all of them, some were great. If you're watching, don't worry, I'll let you all decide if you were the one I'm talking about. Anyway, getting back to it, like that whole following her and seeing her not quite fit in is really enjoyable and entertaining. And the thing is, it's frustrating for me because I'd seen other episodes of Doctor Who before I watched An Unearthly Child. Like, I'd never seen the classic era, for example, in order. And I kind of wish that I had. I can only imagine how I would have felt watching it for the first time, having not seen anything else. Because even knowing some of the things that would go on to happen later on, I still get excited and intrigued and hooked into this mystery. I think I saw Dalek Invasion of Earth before this one, and yet I was still engrossed in this mystery. And I think it doesn't just introduce us to Susan, it introduces us to the Doctor and the TARDIS and pretty much the entire series, and for that reason alone I couldn't not mention Susan. And the thing is with this video, irrespective of the names that I've said, I'm not saying that these are the best companions, but their intro to the show I really enjoyed. But in the comments below, let me know what you think. What would you say are some of your favourite companion introductions into Doctor Who? Whatever they are, let me know. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like on it, subscribe for more. Social media and Patreon links will be in the description as always. So if you'd follow me on any of those things, I'd absolutely love you forever. But until next time guys, you take care of yourselves. Goodbye.